Good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you are in this fine country, and welcome to our presentation today, brought to you by Amtrak Vacations on our top cross-country rail journeys. Very excited to be here with all of you today. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Nick Bonnell, and I have proudly been with Amtrak Vacations now for just under 6 years. Very excited to be here with all of you today. Got a lot of great information to go over. And a little bit about myself, I love rail travel. I've done quite a bit extensively. It's my favorite way to travel. I've done it all throughout the United States, throughout Canada, as well as all throughout Europe. So it's something I'm very passionate about, and I'm very excited to be here with all of you today. So definitely stay tuned towards the end of the presentation, as we will have some exclusive discounts for all of you, as well as one lucky person will win a $100 Amtrak Vacations gift card. How exciting is that? So let's hop right into it. And before we do so, don't forget to download the handout where that top arrow is pointing. It's going to have a lot of valuable information on a lot of the packages we're going to go over today. As well as if you have any questions throughout the presentation today, please feel free to input them into that questions box where that bottom arrow is pointing, and I will be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. So let's hop right into it, shall we? And first and foremost, ask ourselves, why Amtrak Vacations? Well, there's several reasons for that. First and foremost, traveling by rail is a bucket list experience. In fact, we surveyed all of our travelers last year as to why they chose traveling with Amtrak and Amtrak Vacations. And the number one consensus answer we kept seeing was that it was a bucket list trip. If you think about it, you all have done ocean cruises. You've done the all-inclusives to Mexico and the Caribbean. You've gone to Disney World, you've done the escorted tours, and you've now conquered river cruising, and you're looking for that next adventure, something fun, something different, something unique. The rail can satisfy each and every single one of those needs. There's room to roam. Take what you know about being cooped up in an airplane for hours on end, where you can't move around and walk around and really do much. Or how about on a motor coach where you can't really get up at all and do anything because you're on a bus? Well, with Amtrak, you're encouraged to freely move amongst the train. Get up, visit the cafe car, visit the dining car, or visit my personal favorite, the observation car. There's less hassle. There's none of this business about checking in 24 hours ahead of time or paying for your check luggage ahead of time, or better yet, showing up 2 to 3 hours before your departure. There's no need for it all. How does 45 minutes to an hour sound? I can tell you that is the average time people will typically show up prior to their Amtrak departure, truly making it as hassle-free and as worry-free as possible for you. City to city service. Now, I love this because one thing I strongly dislike are those long airport transfers. You know, sometimes you fly into a place and then lo and behold, you have up to an hour-long drive to get you to where you need to be. Well, with Amtrak, there's no need for that, as we typically go from downtown to downtown. Look at New York Penn Station. It's right in the heart of Midtown Manhattan. Look at Chicago Union Station, which is Amtrak's hub station. It's right in the heart of the loop in downtown Chicago. Or better yet, look at Los Angeles Union Station, which is right in the heart of downtown LA, putting you into right where you want to be right off the bat, so you can start your sightseeing and start your trip off on the right foot. Satisfy your hunger. Now, this will touch base on just a little bit later. I just want you all to know that whenever you do upgrade to sleepers on the train, meals are automatically included. You won't want to miss out on that, as the food on Amtrak is quite fantastic. And lastly, flexibility. One of the best parts about our vacation packages is they really have the option to travel daily. With the exception of a couple of our seasonal national parks, almost every single one of our trips operates on a daily basis, so you can travel when you want to travel. It's not like the escorted tours where there's select start dates, or the cruises where there's select cruising dates and sail dates. And I love showing this map because it really amazes me at how extensive Amtrak's system really is. In fact, Amtrak services 46 out of the 48 continental states here in the U.S., with the exceptions of South Dakota and Wyoming. And last year, Amtrak set their ridership record with over 32.5 million passengers. And to put that into perspective, if Amtrak was an airline, Amtrak would have been the 6th most flown airline in the world. It definitely goes to show you that rail travel is in demand, and there's no time but now for you to experience it firsthand. Now, you might ask yourself, Nick, this sounds great, but where can I start my Amtrak vacation? Where do they begin? Well, luckily for you, you can start your rail vacation anywhere in the United States or Canada. As long as there's a train station, any of our packages can start right from your hometown. There's, like I said, there's over 500 stations throughout the United States, as well as there's 3 stations in Canada. In fact, there's 3 points of entry from the United States and Canada, with Montreal, Toronto, and Vancouver. So keep this in mind. Any of these trips can start from your hometown. Now, one of the best parts of traveling with Amtrak and Amtrak Vacations is you can skip the traffic. Take the train. In fact, no one wants to be in a mess like this. Look at this traffic. That's horrible. That's not fun. Well, with Amtrak, how about take the road less traveled? In fact, that's the saying we have around here. Why not take the road less traveled? All you have to do is kick back, relax, and let us do the driving for you. Or how about for those that don't like to fly? I can tell you this speaks volumes to me. My sister personally does not travel by flight. She is terrified to fly, has to rely on Amtrak to get to all of her vacation destinations when she wants to travel, and she absolutely loves it. She can see the wonders of what the United States has to offer right from the comfort of the train. Once again, you have the freedom to get out of your seat and move around. You don't have to be cooped up in this tiny seat for hours on end like you would on a motor coach or a flight. You're encouraged to get up, move amongst the train, and mingle with your fellow riders. There's nothing like it, everyone. And now this is my favorite slide in the whole entire presentation. What do we see on the left-hand side? See clouds, right? It's pretty boring if you ask me. And if you think about it, clouds are going to look the same no matter where you go to in the world from an airplane. It's true. But we look at the right-hand side, we see pristine coastline and beaches, we see big cities, we see mountains. These are just some of the examples of those beautiful landscapes that can only be seen here in the United States. So we're lucky if you think about it. We have every type of landscape imaginable. We have those beaches and coastlines, those big cities, those mountains, but we also have rainforests, we have deserts, we have swamplands, we have prairies, we have plains, we have small town America. And the best part about all of it is it can be seen from the comfort of an Amtrak train. It truly is the best way to see the wonders of the United States. And we have quite a few different types of travel styles that can really cater towards any type of traveler. First, we have our independent rail journeys. Now, these are our multi-city, multi-state, week-long to even up to 16-day-long trips. They're incredibly comprehensive as they do cover quite a bit of ground. So if you are looking to take a bit of a longer trip, these are the perfect ones for you. We have our rail experiences, which put the focus on the train rather than the destination. So we tend to keep the hotel and destination stays at a minimum, where the true focus is being on the train as much as possible. It's fantastic. We have our rail getaways, which are our single city 2 to 3 night long trips. If you're looking to get away maybe for just a couple of nights, we have tons and tons of options all throughout the United States and Canada. We have some right by your hometown. So if you're looking to get away for just a couple of nights by train, definitely keep our rail getaways in mind. We have our rail and sails. Now, I love these because they take 2 completely different travel styles and roll them up into one amazing vacation package. Not only do you get the journey on board Amtrak, but we combine that with an Alaskan cruise out of Seattle or Vancouver. In fact, we have partnered up with Norwegian Cruise Lines to bring these packages to life. And lastly, custom rail journeys. Maybe you see something today on the presentation or you've seen it on our website that you like, but you want to tweak it a bit. Maybe you want to add nights, remove nights. Maybe you want to add a destination or remove a destination. Maybe you want to build a package from the ground up, but you might not necessarily know how to go about that. Well, keep it in mind. Every single one of our packages is completely customized, can be completely customized for your liking, or you can tailor make a vacation package for your liking as well. So completely keep that in mind. It's quite nice actually that we have the ability to customize our trips any way you want. And keep in mind too, everybody, you can choose hotels that work best for your needs. In fact, we work from 3 to 5-star hotels throughout the United States and Canada. So if you're more of just a regular everyday traveler, we have those 3-star hotels, but not to worry. If you're more of a luxury traveler, 4-star traveler, 5-star traveler even, we have those deluxe hotels for you as well. So with all that said, all aboard everyone, and let's hop into some of our top cross-country rail packages. And keep in mind too, everyone, we offer rail connections into the United States national parks, including some of the most popular ones like Glacier National Park, the Grand Canyon, Yellowstone, Yosemite, just to name a few. We actually work hand in hand with some of those lodges, the hardest to get lodges, to bring these packages to life for you. So let's hop right into it. And we're going to visit our most popular package for the past 2 years. In fact, it has been fantastic. It is our Grand National Parks featuring Yellowstone, Yosemite, and the Grand Canyon. This trip is fantastic, and it's popular, A, because it uses some of the most scenic Amtrak routes out there, out west, and B, it visits some of the most iconic national parks here in the United States. So this trip starts off in Chicago, doing the overnight train on board the California Zephyr, overnight train from Chicago to Salt Lake City, where we arrive the following evening. In Salt Lake City, we'll do 1 night in a downtown Salt Lake City hotel. The next day, we will take the Salt Lake Express, which is a motor coach transfer, which will bring you from Salt Lake City up to West Yellowstone, where you'll do 2 nights in one of the lodges up in West Yellowstone. While you're up there, you will have a full-day guided sightseeing tour of Yellowstone National Park's lower loop, which is a full-day comprehensive tour of the park, and it will highlight a lot of the key sites that Yellowstone has to offer, such as the Grand Canyon of Yellowstone, the Grand Prismatic Spring, as seen right on the screen, as well as Yellowstone National Park's most key landmark, Old Faithful Geyser. In fact, it's guaranteed on the story you will see the Old Faithful Geyser erupt. It's guaranteed. After our fun in Yellowstone is all said and done, we will then take the Salt Lake Express motor coach transfer from Yellowstone back down to Salt Lake City, where we'll then do an evening train and overnight train on the California Zephyr train, where we arrive the following afternoon into San Francisco. And when we arrive into San Francisco, we're going to do 2 nights in a downtown San Francisco hotel. And while we are there, we get a full-day guided tour of Yosemite National Park. Now, you won't have to worry about getting yourselves to and from the park. The tour will pick you up, drive you out to the park, and you will get a full-day guided tour, very comprehensive tour of the Yosemite Valley. It's very exciting. After our fun in Yosemite is in San Francisco is all said and done, we then depart San Francisco on a morning train. Now, it's day travel on Amtrak's most scenic route. It's called the Coast Starlight. It's the route that runs from Seattle to LA and vice versa. And you're going to do some day travel on it. Leave San Francisco in the morning, you arrive into Los Angeles later in the evening. And when we get into LA, we're going to do 1 night in a downtown Los Angeles hotel. The next morning and afternoon, you'll have a guided tour of the city of Los Angeles, which will highlight a lot of the key sites that Los Angeles is known for. So you'll see Hollywood, you'll see downtown LA, you go up into Beverly Hills. It's actually quite nice, actually, a really fantastic comprehensive tour of the city of Los Angeles. Once our fun in LA is all done, later that evening, we will then hop aboard Amtrak's Southwest Chief and then do an evening train and overnight train to Williams, Arizona, where we arrive the following morning. And in Williams, we are going to, as soon as we arrive in, we're going to switch right over to the Grand Canyon Railway, which is the antique steam train that will take you from Williams, Arizona, up to the south rim of the Grand Canyon. And I love it because it adds another train experience to a train vacation. So not only do you get the Amtrak experience, but you get that classic antique steam train experience as well. And there's a reason why that train has been operational for over 110 years. It passes through the largest ponderosa forest in the state of Arizona. So you get some really beautiful scenery on that train ride. Once we get up to the South Rim, we will have a guided sightseeing tour of the South Rim. So we'll be able to see all the major sites that the South Rim is known for. And then we spend 1 night up in one of the lodges in the Grand Canyon Village at the South Rim. After our night in the South Rim is done, we then take this Grand Canyon Railway back down to Williams. We do 1 night in Williams at the Grand Canyon Railway Hotel. And then the next day morning, we'll hop aboard the Amtrak Southwest Chief and do the overnight train from Williams back to Chicago. Now, the Grand Canyon Railway the Southwest Chief is fantastic. I've actually done it myself, and you actually get to see some really beautiful red rock views while traveling by train, like you see right on your screen. In fact, I can tell you there's some really amazing scenery on it. I remember passing through New Mexico and seeing wide open desert plains with snow-capped mountains in the backgrounds and plateaus. I mean, I'm from New England. I've never seen a plateau before. So for me, it was really really quite a memorable experience. So this one, everyone, is a 13-day, 12-night. We get the sightseeing tour of Yellowstone National Park's lower loop, a sightseeing tour of Yosemite National Park out of San Francisco. We get a city tour of Los Angeles. We get round trip on board the famous Grand Canyon Railway, and we get the motor coach Freedom tour of the South Rim. All in all, 8 nights hotel, 4 nights on the train. And yes, those 4 nights on the train are in coach accommodations, which we can absolutely upgrade to the sleepers. We'll get a private room with beds, shower access, and our meals on the train will be included. Now let's continue and let's pay a visit to our most extensive rail experience, which, if you remember, are the trips that are all about the journey rather than the destinations. And this is our Grand Rail experience. This is for those that want to get the full, complete United States by rail experience as you venture to almost every single corner of the United States. So this trip starts off in Chicago, and we do 2 nights on board the Empire Builder, which is the most northern route on board Amtrak. We do the 2 nights on the train, where we arrive to Seattle 2 days later, and we do 2 nights in a downtown Seattle hotel. While we're in Seattle, we will have a sightseeing tour of the city of Seattle, which will highlight a lot of the key famous landmarks that Seattle's known for, such as the Space Needles, seen right on your screen, the Pike's Place Market, as well as the original Starbucks. Once our fun in Seattle's all done, we will then do the Coast Starlight, that most scenic train in North America. We do it in its complete entirety, and we do the overnight train from Seattle down to Los Angeles, where we arrive the following evening. And in Los Angeles, we'll do 1 night in a downtown LA hotel. The next morning and afternoon, we will have a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour of Los Angeles, which will take us around the city on a big loop, and we can get off and on as we please at all the different sites and attractions, once again, that Los Angeles has to offer. Once our fun in LA is all said and done, we will then hop aboard Amtrak's most southern route called the Sunset Limited. And this train passes through Southern California, passes through Arizona, New Mexico, through Texas, leading us in 2 days later into New Orleans, where we'll do 2 nights in a centrally located hotel right in the French Quarter or on Canal Street in New Orleans. And while we're in New Orleans, we will have a guided sightseeing city tour of the city of Los Angeles, which will highlight a lot of the key sites that New Orleans is famous for. Once our fun in New Orleans is all said and done, we will then hop aboard Amtrak's Crescent train, which will offer some really beautiful scenery as you go up through Alabama, up through Georgia, through western South Carolina, western North Carolina, and western Virginia, leading us into our nation's capital on an overnight train where we arrive into D.C. the following morning. When we get into Washington, D.C., we're going to do 1 night in a downtown Washington hotel right in the Capitol Hill area, or on DuPont Circle. And while we're in Washington, we get one of my favorite sightseeing tours I've ever taken. And I've been all over the world, and I've done tons of sightseeing in every country I've ever been to. This is by far one of my favorites. This is our Monuments by Moonlight tour, which is a nighttime tour that will take you by some of the famous memorials and monuments of Washington, D.C. You get to see them all lit up at night. It's really beautiful. Once our fun in Washington is all said and done, we will then hop aboard the Capital Limited train, and we will do the overnight train back to Chicago. This one's 14 days, 13 nights. We get the hop-on, hop-off tours of both Seattle and Los Angeles. We get a city tour of New Orleans, as well as the Monuments by Moonlight tour in Washington, D.C. It's round-trip Amtrak and coach accommodations, 6 nights hotel, and then 7 nights on board the train. Now, you won't want to miss out on the sleeping accommodations on this, as you definitely want to experience the best of having the sleepers on board the train for this, because you are on the train for about a week. So now maybe you'll like the idea of this, but maybe it's a bit too long. Maybe you don't have 2 weeks to take a vacation. You want to do something similar, but no, not as long. So keep in mind we could do our Northern Rail experience, which is a bit shorter, and it still utilizes 3 of the most scenic routes that Amtrak has to offer. This trip does the 2 nights on the Empire Builder from Chicago to Seattle. We arrive in Seattle, and we do 1 night in a downtown Seattle hotel, and while we're there, we get a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour. Once our fun in Seattle is all said and done, we then hop aboard the Coast Starlight and do the Coast Starlight on the overnight train from Seattle down to San Francisco. And you're going to have some beautiful views of ocean views from aboard the train, as well as you'll get some views from some rich evergreen forests in the Pacific Northwest. It's really a beautiful journey. We get down into San Francisco the following morning, and when we get down into San Francisco, we are going to do 2 nights in a downtown San Francisco hotel. And while we're in San Francisco, we get a couple different things included. So first and foremost, we get a hop-on, hop-off tour of San Francisco, which will take us around the city on a big loop, and you can get off and on as you please at all the different sites and attractions. We also get a tour of Muir Woods in Sausalito, so you'll be able to see the giant redwood trees of Muir Woods, as well as the coastal town of Sausalito, California, and that's topped off with a sightseeing day cruise of San Francisco Bay. Once our fun in San Francisco is all said and done, we will then hop aboard the California Zephyr train and do 2 nights on the train from San Francisco back to Chicago. And that train ride's amazing. It goes through eastern California, through the Sierra Nevada mountains and the Donner Pass, passes through Nevada, and then through the Rocky Mountains of Utah and Colorado, through the farmlands of Nebraska and Iowa, leading us back into Chicago. Really fantastic trip. It's 9 days, 8 nights, hop-on, hop-off tours of both Seattle and San Francisco. We get a sightseeing tour of Muir Woods and Sausalito, as well as a San Francisco Bay cruise. It's round-trip in Amtrak and coach accommodations, 3 nights hotel, 5 nights on the train. And yes, those 5 nights on the train are in coach. Once again, absolutely can upgrade that to the sleepers. We'll get a private room with beds, shower access, and our meals on the train will be included. Now, maybe you like the idea of this, or you maybe want to visit, more of a different routing. Don't keep in mind, we could do our Western Rail experience. This one, you do the 2 nights on the train from Chicago to Los Angeles on the Southwest Chief. We arrive into Los Angeles and do 1 night in a downtown Los Angeles hotel where we get a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour. From Los Angeles, we do some day travel on the Coast Starlight. We leave in the morning time out of LA, and we arrive into San Francisco later that evening, and we do 2 nights in a downtown San Francisco hotel. While we're in San Francisco, we get a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour for a day, as well as that tour of Muir Woods and Sausalito, along with that Bay cruise. Once our fun in San Francisco is all done, we'll then continue northbound on the Coast Starlight and finish it off and do the overnight train to Seattle, where we arrive in Seattle the following evening and do one night in downtown Seattle. And while we're in Seattle, we will have a hop on, hop off, or 2 nights in Seattle. We do have a hop on, hop off sightseeing tour. And then from Seattle, we then do the 2 nights on board the Empire Builder back to Chicago. 9 days, 8 nights. We get hop on, hop off tours of all 3 cities of Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Seattle. We get the sightseeing tour of Muir Woods and Sausalito, as well as the Bay Cruise of San Francisco. All in all, 5 nights hotel, 5 nights on the train, and I'll say it again, yes, those 5 nights on the train are in coach accommodations. We can absolutely upgrade those to the sleepers. Once again, get a private room with beds, shower access, and our meals on the train will be included. Now let's move away from our rail experiences and let's pay a visit to one of our most popular packages for the past 6 years. It's actually one of our most popular packages throughout the summertime because it's one of the most limited packages. It's our Glacier National Park Express. Now, the season for this package is from mid-June to mid-September, and the reason why for this is because it's in northern Montana. Glacier Park is. Glacier Park season is very limited, mid-June to mid-September, and the reason why is simply because 9 months of the year, yes, it does snow up there. So you won't want to miss it on this. Mid-June to mid-September, this package sells out each and every single year. So we start off with 2 nights in Chicago, and we have some fun while we're there. And this train ride is fantastic as you get mountain views, lakes, and pines await the Empire Builder, that most northern route, as it takes you from Chicago to Glacier National Park, as well as to Seattle. This trip is 10 days, 9 nights. We get 2 nights in Chicago, right in the heart of the loop in downtown Chicago. And while we're there, we have the Architecture Cruise of Chicago, which is the boat ride that will bring you down the river in Chicago, and it highlights a lot of the key famous buildings and skyscrapers. In fact, Chicago is the birthplace of the modern skyscraper, and this tour highlights a lot of those famous buildings, such as the Willis Tower, formerly known as the Sears Tower, second tallest building in the U.S. You can go to see the Chicago Tribune building, the WGN building, and of course, my favorites, the Marina Towers. Once our fun in Chicago's all said and done, we do the overnight train on board the Empire Builder, where we go from Chicago to Glacier Park. We arrive in Glacier Park the next evening, and we do 3 nights at the Glacier Park Railroad Hotel, which is the oldest and most historic of the Glacier Park Railroad hotels. And while we're up there, we have 2 tours. The first tour is the full-day tour called the Big Sky Circle Tour. It's the full day of the park that utilizes the Going to the Sun Road, which is the main stretch of highway that runs right through the middle of Glacier. The tour is definitely the most comprehensive that Glacier Park has to offer, and you will see the majority of the main sites that Glacier Park has right on this tour. The second tour you get is a boat ride into Medicine Lake, which is another area that's actually wasn't seen on the first tour. So you get to see a whole separate area of the park, and you get to do it by boat cruise. How exciting is that? Once our fun in Glacier Park is all said and done, we then do a really quick overnight train from Glacier Park to Seattle. We arrive in Seattle the following morning. We do 2 nights at a downtown Seattle hotel, and while we're there, we get admission to the Seattle Space Needle, their most iconic landmark, as well as the Chihuly Garden in Glass Museum. Which, for those that might not be familiar with Dale Chihuly is this wonderful artist that makes these beautiful glass sculptures that look like flowers, and this is his headquarters museum, and the best part is it's situated right at the foot of the Space Needle, so you can go from front door to front door with complete ease. So this trip, you get all of those fun things included: 7 nights hotel, 2 nights on board the train, and yes, those 2 nights on the train are in coach accommodations, which we can absolutely upgrade to the sleepers, where you'll get a private room with beds, shower access, and meals on the train would be included. Now let's continue. Now you see that these are fantastic, but you might ask, geez, this is good, but what if I don't want to do one of these? Maybe I just want a quick little getaway to a single city or to a single national park. Well, keep in mind, we can do that for you as well. And of course, I'm going to go over a brand new package for 2018. That was one of our top selling destinations this past summer, was Arches and Canyonlands National Parks, which are brand new for us this past year. And this trip is fantastic. And keep in mind, any of these trips can be picked up out of your hometown. It's just the amount of travel, and the cost is going to be based upon where you're looking to go and where you're coming out of. For Arches and Canyonlands, it's 3 days, 2 nights. We do 2 nights hotel in Grand Junction, Colorado. And while we're there, we get a full day guided sightseeing tour of Arches and Canyonlands National Park. Really fantastic sightseeing tour. Now, maybe you want to visit our neighbors to the north. That's right, we can do Canada for you if you remember. And of course, our most popular Canadian destination year after year is Niagara Falls. And this is our most popular package for Niagara Falls. It's 4 days, 3 nights. It's our Niagara Falls Ultimate Getaway. We do 3 nights hotel in a hotel that's literally footsteps away from Horseshoe Falls, which is the biggest of the falls, as well as we get the Niagara Adventure Pass, which is a pass that will get us into the top 4 attractions of Niagara Falls. So we will get into Niagara's Fury, which is the 4D show about an IMAX show about the making of Niagara Falls. We get the White Water Walk, the journey behind the falls, as well as the voyage to the falls, which is the boat ride that will bring you up to the falls themselves. We also get admission to the Skylon Tower, which is the observation tower that overlooks the Niagara region, as well as dinner at a popular local restaurant. There's a restaurant we work with called the Watermark. It's inside the Hilton Hotel in Niagara Falls. Offers some really breathtaking views of Niagara Falls as you eat your dinner. Really, it offers premier views of the falls. So if you're looking to go up to Niagara Falls, keep this in mind. And also, too, keep in mind, you can upgrade to a Falls View room, and you can wake up to first thing seeing Niagara Falls when you wake up in the morning. How cool is that? But maybe you don't want to go north. Maybe you want to go south. Well, keep in mind too, New Orleans is always a very popular destination for us, and this is our most popular package for New Orleans. It's our New Orleans Ultimate Getaway, and you do 4 days, 3 nights in New Orleans, 3 nights right in the heart of the French Quarter or on Canal Street. And while we're there, we will have a set of choices between either the Swamp and Bayou Tour, the Hurricane Katrina Tour, or the Steamboat Notch's Evening Jazz Cruise, or the Oak Alley Plantation Tour. Now, I always recommend doing the Steamboat Notch's Evening Jazz Cruise because it kind of kills 2 birds with 1 stone if you think about it. Not only do you get the journey on board one of those big old-fashioned paddle wheel boats, but you also get to hear some of that live jazz music that people flock to New Orleans to hear. On top of all of this as well, you get dinner at a popular restaurant in the French Quarter. I recommend a place called Two Jogs. It's actually the 2nd oldest restaurant in the state or in the city of New Orleans. And lastly, you also get the New Orleans visit ticket, which is this pass that'll get you into more than 25 of New Orleans top attractions. So it'll get you admission into the San Francisco Plantation House, Blaine Kern's Mardi Gras World, which is the warehouse where they make the Mardi Gras floats. You could do a Cajun and Creole cooking demonstration. You could do a ghost tour, a walking tour of the French Quarter. You can go to the zoo, the aquarium. You can go to the National World War II Museum. I mean, there is so much to do on that pass. Highly recommend New Orleans if you haven't been. I actually went down there for the first time literally a year ago today. I was down there and I absolutely loved it, and I'm already planning my next trip back. So let's continue, and we're going to visit, of course, the big city, the city that never sleeps, the Big Apple, the most populous city in the U.S., home to over 8.5 million people. That's right, New York. And New York is always popular year-round for us. And this is our most popular package for New York City. It's our New York Ultimate Getaway. It does 4 days, 3 nights. We do 3 nights hotel right in the heart of Midtown Manhattan. While we're there, we get a multi-day hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour, which will take us around the city on a big loop, and you can get off and on as you please at all the different sites and attractions. We get dinner at a popular local restaurant. Highly recommend a restaurant called The View, which is the revolving restaurant atop the Marriott Marquis Hotel in Times Square. You'll have some really, really breathtaking views as you enjoy a really fantastic cuisine. So highly recommend that tour or that dinner at The View. And lastly, we also get the New York City Pass, which will get you admission into more than 8 of New York's top attractions. So we'll get you admission into the Empire State Building, the Metropolitan Museum of Art, the American Museum of Natural History. You could do the ferry out to the Statue of Liberty and Ellis Island. You can go to the Guggenheim, as well as the 9/11 Museum and Memorial. And lastly, of course, our nation's capital, Washington, D.C. This is our most popular package for Washington, D.C. as well. It's our D.C. Ultimate Getaway, and this package is huge. We do 3 nights hotel right in the DuPont Circle or the Capitol Hill area of town. While we're there, we have a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour, which will take us around the city on a big loop, and you can get off and on as you please at all the different sites and attractions. As well as we get the admission to either the International Spy Museum or the Newseum. Now, the Spy Museum is all about the histories of spies and espionage, and they have a really fantastic James Bond exhibit. And the Newseum is all about the history of the news and the mass media, and they have some really great artifacts from some newsworthy stories throughout the years. And lastly, once again, we get that Monuments by Moonlight tour, one of my favorite tours, and you won't want to miss it on that, as the scenery on that and the sights you'll see on that are truly amazing. Now, I know I've been mentioning a lot about the destinations and the packages and things like that, but what about the actual train experience? So let's hop right into that. And the first thing we're going to go over is luggage, because Amtrak has the most generous luggage policy in the travel industry. Take what you know about the airlines and picture the exact opposite, because Amtrak allows quite a bit of luggage. You get 2 pieces of carry-on luggage, up to 50 pounds each bag per person, 2 pieces of carry-on luggage up to 50 pounds each bag per person, as well as 2 personal items that can be up to 25 pounds per bag per person. And those personal items can be anything along the lines of a backpack, briefcase, pocketbook, purse, laptop bag, or even a duffel bag. Good luck seeing the airlines try to top that. I mean, I think most airlines are charging even $25 or more for just one bag. Nope. Amtrak, you're allowed 2 check-in, 2 carry-on, and 2 personal items. And I know throughout the presentation I've been talking about accommodations and sleepers and coach, but what exactly does this all mean? So let's hop right into that. Of course, we're going to start off with coach accommodations, which, as you can see, is a pretty standard seat on board the train. But take what you know about airplane seating and picture the exact opposites. The coach seating on Amtrak is actually comfortable. The seats themselves are typically double the size of your standard airplane seat. They recline at a 45-degree angle, and the seats also have a leg rest as well. And the legroom is uncomparable. In fact, last year I had traveled with one of my colleagues who's 6'6". He could fully stretch his legs out and still have room to spare. Good luck finding that on the airlines. And if you do, let me know, because I'd like to know, because the airlines are paying you would be charging quite the premium for that. Think about it. That's standard on board the train. Now, coach is great. However, meals are not included. Neither is shower access. If you're doing a night or more on board the train, you're probably going to want your meals, and you're probably going to want to take a shower. So where do we go from there? That's right. We upgrade to the roomettes. The roomettes are the most popular type of sleeper on board the train. During the day, it's 2 big seats that face each other with a big picture window in between and a fold-out table. At night, the 2 seats convert to a lower bed, and right above where this lady's head is, the top bed pulls down from the top. Now, I do want to make note with the roomettes, meals are included. However, the bathrooms and showers are private but shared, and they're located just down the hall. So yes, you will be sharing them with the rest of the people that have roomette accommodations in the same car, but it's private. Once you're in there, you're in there. There's a lock on the door. It's not like a college dormitory where people are coming in and out. And the neat thing is it's a full-size bathroom with a full-size shower. Now, you might say, Nick, this sounds fantastic, but what if we want our own bathroom in the room? Is there a way we can do that? By all means, yes, you can. We can upgrade to the bedroom accommodations, which are a little bit bigger than the roomettes, and it's a bit of a different setup. So during the day, it's more of a sofa-style seating where that gentleman is sitting with an extra captain's chair as well, where that lady is sitting. At night, that sofa-style seating converts to the lower bed, and right above where this man's head is, the top bed pulls down. Now, if you look at the little diagram on the right-hand side, you see a little closet-looking thing on the left side of that. That is a private toilet, sink, and shower in room for your use and your use alone when you have the bedroom accommodations. It truly is the best accommodations on board Amtrak. And now's the moment we've all been waiting for. I know I've been mentioning whenever you upgrade to sleepers, you get meals and dining, but what exactly does this all mean? Take what you know about airplane food and picture the exact opposite, because the food on Amtrak is actually good. And you'd be amazed at the quality of meals that are served on board the train. It's very good. So take, for instance, for breakfast, there's pancakes and waffles, bacon and eggs, omelets. For lunch, there's juicy cheeseburgers, grilled chicken salads, pasta dishes. For dinner, there's fish, there's chicken, and of course, there's Amtrak's signature dish is seen right on your screen, the Amtrak signature steak, which I can tell you I had 2 nights in a row once, and I absolutely loved it, and I know you all will too. And the whole process about dining on board the train is really lovely. As soon as you board the train, the dining car attendant will come by, set up reservation times that you want to eat your meals. When it's time to eat, you head down to the dining car, take a seat in one of these big comfortable booths with a white linen tablecloth layout. You get to order off a menu, as well as from a server like you would at a restaurant. So really, if you think about it, Amtrak isn't just transportation, but it's a hotel, a restaurant, and sightseeing on wheels, all rolled up into one amazingly unique experience that you all are going to love. Now, we've barely scratched the surface of what we really can offer to all of you. If you pay a visit to our website at amtrakvacations.com, you can navigate through the site a few different ways to see everything that we have to offer to all of you. Like right here, where that red arrow is pointing on the left-hand side, that destinations tab. If you hover over that, that drops down, and then you can navigate through and see all of our destinations and packages by destination. Or you can search where this red arrow is pointing right in the middle of the screen. You could search by destination, by specific train routes, top stations, as well as your geographic region. As well as a really great spot, don't forget to check out on our website, is where this red tab is pointing. with the trip planning section, because this has some really great information and know before you go information before your Amtrak journey. It has great information about luggage, dining. You can also see what the rooms look like through there as well. And once you find the right trip in mind, how do you book with us? Well, you can give us a ring at 1-800-268-7252, and one of our amazing vacations consultants will be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have and be able to book that. You can book through our website at amtrakvacations.com, or what I always recommend, what I always do, give a call, or better yet, pay a visit to your local travel agent. They will be more than happy to assist you. I love my travel agent, and I go through my travel agent for all my personal travel because they truly are one of the best resources out there. And keep in mind, too, everybody, we have some really great everyday discounts for you all as well. If you're a senior traveler, age 65 or over, you get a 10% discount off the rail portion of an Amtrak Vacations package. If you're traveling with children ages 2 to 12, the kids get a 50% discount off the rail portion of an Amtrak Vacations package. And lastly, if you're active duty military, you, your spouse, and your dependents get a 10% discount off the rail portion of an Amtrak Vacations package, just as a thank you for your service. And for everyone else as well, there's a special upgrade for you. Keep your eyes peeled to your email inbox because you will be receiving a $100 upgrade voucher that will be valid until October the 10th. For any of these packages, any vacation package that you book, you can upgrade to rebettes or bedrooms, and you will get $100 off per couple. So keep your eyes peeled to your email inbox, as you won't want to miss it on this deal. And don't forget to download the handout right here. It has a lot of the great information that of some of the packages we went over today as well. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to input them. I've seen some questions come through, and I'm going to answer those in just a moment. So if you have any questions about everything we got going on, feel free to put them into where that second arrow is pointing. And before I answer all of these questions I've seen come through, I have to name our $100 Amtrak Vacations gift card. And today's lucky winner is going to be Marilyn Mathers. Congratulations, Marilyn. Well deserved. And we hope to see you on Amtrak. And for all of you, please feel free to input those questions in there into the questions box, and I'm going to start answering those. So I see a question here from Steven. Steven, are these trips in the train handicap accessible? Yes. Amtrak absolutely is handicap accessible, whether you're traveling with a cane, walker, or wheelchair. They can absolutely accommodate that. In fact, they have coach seats that are good for people that are traveling like that, as well as they have a handicap accessible room on board the train that's on the lower level of the train that has a private toilet and sink in room where the shower is right outside the door, and it's big enough to accommodate someone in a wheelchair. Now, all the packages we work with, also all the hotels we work with, all essentially, for the most part, all are ADA approved as well. Great question, Stephen. Rita, do you have vegetarian meal options? Yes. Vegetarian, vegan, and kosher diets are absolutely good to go on the train. Those are 3 diets they absolutely offer. But if you do have a food allergy, like our gluten intolerance or anything like that, just let your travel agent, let us, and also let your server know on board the train so they can do their best to accommodate to that. I have a question here from Marlon asking, does Amtrak transfer luggage to and from hotels and different trains? Not to and from hotels, unfortunately. You'd be responsible for transferring your luggage to your hotel, but usually if you check in your luggage, if on the train, Amtrak would transfer it. It's very similar to flying when you check in luggage, where you check it in one place, you don't see it to your final destination. But that's as far as checked luggage goes. If you are doing hand carry-on luggage, you would be responsible for transporting it yourself. Thank you for that, Marlon. Susan, how far ahead do you need to book a custom trip? I mean, we're already booking tons of trips for spring, summer, and fall of 2019. So it's always best to book as far in advance as possible so you can guarantee yourself the availability and the lowest price possible, because the pricing on Amtrak is predominantly based upon availability more than anything. Chris, is there a limit in quantity or weight for luggage? Each person's allowed 2 pieces of carry-on luggage up to 50 pounds each bag, 2 pieces of check-in luggage up to 50 pounds each bag, as well as 2 personal items that can be up to 25 pounds each bag. Marilyn is asking, do I have pictures of the showers? They can be found on our website at amtrakvacations.com. And Marilyn also asked, I live in California on the Park Store. Can the Chicago legs be eliminated? Yes, they absolutely can. If you don't want to head all the way out to Chicago, if you're already out west and you don't want to do any backtracking or anything like that, by all means, our trips are completely customizable like that. We can set that up to be more convenient and more direct for you. Great questions, Marilyn. Let's see. Daniel, the Glacier trip ends in Seattle. How do we make the return trip? Well, a lot of people will fly. I can tell you actually 62% of our travelers do fly at some point on the Amtrak vacation. But if you did want to set up the train trip to be round trip, we can absolutely do that for you. Tons of people do that too. Bernadette, can you go a la carte if you have a bedroom or berth? I don't really know what that means. Are you talking about the meals on the train a la carte, or what do you mean by that? Marlon, any discounts for groups of 6 or more? Unfortunately, no. We don't really do group travel all too much, so we don't really offer any price breaks for groups. Meals. So meals, they're not a la carte. You just kind of go down with it, So when you board the train and get to your room, the dining car attendant will make an announcement, or the dining car attendant will come by, set up the reservation times that you want to eat your meals. When it's time to eat, you head down to the dining car and you take a seat in the booth, and then you get a menu with actual multiple options on that you could order from. Susan, when booking ahead, when is the payment due? So you would be required to put a deposit down to at least lock in the space in the final and the payment, to lock in the space and lock in the rates and everything. Final payment is for any of our packages generally due 60 days prior to the departure date. So a lot of people will just put down a deposit. Say if you're traveling for next summer, put down a deposit, and then you can make you will have until 2 months before your trip, and you can even make payments along the way if you wanted to. Break it up like that. Absolutely, Susan. Christine, if I travel alone, is the price different? Yes, it is, but not to worry. Any of our packages can be done as a solo traveler. I can tell you about a quarter of our travelers do travel solo. I love traveling by rail solo, but the rates, you'd want to give us a call or pay a visit to your local travel agent so we can get some accurate rates, because they can truly vary package to package and when you're looking to travel at all. David, do you make airline reservations for us if we're booking through you? No, unfortunately, that's the one thing we don't do at all is air. I wish we did. I would be all about that, but unfortunately, we just don't do air, only train. And rental car, of course. Well, those are some great questions. Anybody else have any great questions like that? And yes, Mike's asking, can my wife bring a bottle of wine on board the train? Yes, she absolutely can. In fact, that's another amenity to having a sleeping accommodation. You're actually allowed to bring on board your own liquor, beer, wine, and spirits. It just has to be consumed in the comfort of your private room. You can't bring it out into the public areas, and it can't be in glass. So plastic bottles or cans or boxes, that's all kosher and good to go. It just cannot go out into the public areas. Any more questions, everyone? So it looks like to me we are out of questions for today. So if anyone can think of any more questions, once the presentation wraps up, or if you want to take a look at any options at all, or you want to go ahead and book any of these, please call that number on your screen, or give a call, or pay a visit to your local travel agent. That's what I would do. I love my local agent, as I said, and I do all my personal travel through my travel agent as well. Even though I've been in the travel industry for about 10 years, I still use a travel agent because they really have my back, and they know what's best, and they can always make some really great suggestions. And a lot of them too have been to a lot of these great destinations. So definitely love my travel agents, and I love utilizing it. We'll always stand by that. So until next time, everyone, we do these every 2 weeks. So we should be doing this 2 weeks from today. And it's always a different topic. So we hope to see you on the next one. And in the meantime, I hope you all enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Have a great rest of your week. And until next time, everyone, I hope you all take care. Bye, everybody.